Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now I was meant to do this one yesterday, but I had my first vaccine shot yesterday and I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, and to be honest I don't feel much better today. I feel bloody awful. But anyway, we're going to be looking at a band called Nora Lake. Now, I'd never heard of this band before. They actually contacted me through Instagram and asked me if I'd like to have a look at their newest track, and it's a track called Split. Now, they sent me some information about the band, and what I have here is Nora Lake is a Parisian band founded in 2018, and it brings together a group of high school friends from different musical backgrounds. After their first EP, Despise, released in 2020, the band enters a new era of musical and visual creation. They did a cover version of Linkin Park's Somewhere I Belong, and then they've released their new single, Split, which is what we're looking at today. So, that's all the information I really have about the band. I think it's a 5-piece band. I'm not even sure what kind of music they are. Now, in an email they sent me, they did send me the lyrics, although I couldn't find them in the email, but I do have lyrics here. And as I understand it, it is a lyric video. So we'll jump into the track and see what we have. So this is Split by Nora Lake. Let's have a look.
It's like a nuclear storm, an accident from on slow. There's something to way out, something to way out. My demons are the thing in my mind. There is no way out. There is no try to fly. They change us from my trust to put me somehow. But this is the only way I am. Children of disease inside of me, to take control of the soul girls on the level beast. No control to the signs inside of life. That take control of the soul girls on the level beast. Take control and speak my mind. I'm going blind. You'll never win this fight. And I'm not myself anymore. Let's enter light. 23 personalities. We're not the ones that's supposed to be. My mouth wants to wear my mask and take these girls far away from the path. Darkness is trouble. Take control and speak my mind. I'm going blind. You'll never win this fight. You split my mind, but you will never win this fight. Never win this fight. I'm going blind. My hope is real. I feel desire. You wanna split my mind. I try to feel these lights. Dancing to light. And I'm the myself anymore. Dancing to light. Darkness is coming.
Well, a very short track there, about only 2.5 minutes, but it makes a very solid point. I mean, the song is called Split, and there was a very clear line in there saying 23 personalities, so it seems pretty obvious what this song is about. It's another song about mental health, about split personalities, possibly even depression taking on here, but you know, that sort of thing. And you know, this isn't the first band to cover that subject, and it's a subject that he's covered quite frequently, you know. And people say that heavy metal doesn't have any deep meaning behind it, but again, here we have this example. Now, I like the way some of these lines are written. Some of them don't grammatically make sense, but then again, you know, English is not this band's first language, so, you know, you can't really hold that against them. It says, "It's like a nuclear storm and I can't escape from all this mess. Please show me the way out. Show me the way out. The demons are laughing in my back. There is no way out, even if I try to fight. They can control my thoughts to put me so bad. I let them in. This is the only way I have." Now, there's a couple of lines in there, like I said, don't necessarily make sense grammatically. But again, like I said, English is not their first language, so, you know. But I get what they're saying. It's like a nuclear storm and I can't escape from all this mess. So, like, the conflict and argument inside his head with all these clashing personalities, it's like a nuclear storm. It's like an explosion going off inside his head. Everything's fighting for control. You know, 23 personalities, as he says later on in the song. You know, they're all fighting for control. So, you know, it's like having a massive, great big argument going on in your head. And I can kind of understand what that means, because, you know, there are times, you know, like I said, I have borderline personality or disorder myself, and occasionally I get this sort of sensation where it feels like both sides of my brain are arguing with each other. So, you know, I know how bad that makes me feel. How does it make him feel when there's 23 of them doing it? You know. It says, "The demons are laughing in my back." I'm assuming that's supposed to be the demons are laughing at my back or behind my back. There's no way out, even if I try to fight. So no matter how hard he tries, you know, he can't make it stop. They can control my thoughts to put me so bad. I'm not entirely sure what the end of that line was supposed to be, but they can control my thoughts. You know, all these different personalities sort of whispering on your shoulder, like the proverbial angel and demon you have going, you know, this person doesn't really like you. And, you know, if you hear that so much, you know, it'll start driving you crazy and it'll put you in a really bad place mentally. So that might be what it is, to put me so bad. And might be, you know, it makes my head hurt, it makes me feel awful, I feel terrible, it makes me feel depressed. It says, "I let them in, this is the only way I have." You know, so, you know, I've got to accept them, because it's the only thing I can do, because fighting against them is futile and it's making things even worse. He carries on, there is no cure to the disease inside me. They take control. They're stronger than I'll never be. There is no cure to the disease inside of me. They take control. They're stronger than I'll never be. Again, I think there might be a bit of an error there. So there is no cure for the disease inside of me. So there is no cure for a multiple personality disorder or schizophrenia. There's no cure for it. All you can do is manage it with medications. And they take control. They're stronger than I'll never be. I think that might be they're stronger than I'll ever be. But, you know, these multiple personalities, they're all fighting to take control of this one vessel. You know, it's like having several people all trying to fly one aeroplane. You know, it's never going to work. And eventually one's going to win out, and it might not necessarily be the one that's supposed to. Carries on. They take control and split my mind. I'm going blind. You'll never win this fight. They take the light, and I'm not myself anymore. They take the light. Now, they did this in the clean vocals. They've actually used 3 different vocal styles within this track. You know, they've got the more sort of traditional sort of metalcore sort of / death metal style growled, screamed vocals. Then they have a sort of slightly lighter version of those harsh vocals, and then they've got the clean vocals. And as I always say, I love it when they mix up vocal styles in music. You know, it sort of keeps you engaged. You know, you go, oh, that's something new. So, you know, there's that. And it says, like I said, they take control and split my mind. I'm going blind. You'll never win this fight. They take the light. I'm not myself anymore. So it's like, it's inevitable that these things are going to keep vying for control. They're going to keep fighting for control, and eventually one of them's going to win out, and I'm not going to be who I am anymore. Who you're seeing right now is not necessarily me. This is not me. This is one of these many personalities in my mind that's just taking over. And, you know, don't hold that against me. And then it says 23 personalities. I'm not the one that we're supposed to be. Our bad part... All right, this is a... I'm not the one that we're supposed to be. Our bad part tried to wear my mask. and take these girls far away from their path. The beast is coming. Now, I'm not the one that we're supposed to be. Like, this is not who I am. The personality that is in control of me right now is not who I am. That is not who is supposed to be in control of my body. You know, that's not who I am. But he's the strongest one so far, and he's taken over. And it says, our bad part, try to wear my mask. So it's like this evil or cruel personality that's taken over me at this precise moment. That's not me, but it's acting like me. You know, it's trying to pretend to be me to try and fool people, you know, saying, you know, I'm a really nice guy, but really he's a horrible, nasty, manipulative person, you know. So it's one of his many personalities pretending to be the proper him. And it says, and take these girls away from their path. I'm not sure where that line came from. You know, that came totally out of left field. But again, that could just be to highlight the manipulative personality that's wearing the mask of his normal self. You know, it's probably just to highlight the fact that I wouldn't normally do that to these people, you know, whereas this personality that's taking over me is trying to make these girls do things that they wouldn't necessarily do. The beast is coming. You know, that's the evil, cruel part of him. That's coming. That's going to show itself eventually. And then he goes, they take control and split my mind. I'm going blind. You'll never win this fight. You split my mind, but you'll never win this fight. Never win this fight. I'm going blind. My hope is real, and I feel this light. You want to split my mind. I try to feel this light. They take the light, and I'm not myself anymore. They take the light. The beast is coming. So again, it's like all these things are fighting for control, and you know, there's very little you can do against it. You know, when you've got these voices sort of arguing with each other in your head, it drives you absolutely bonkers, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can manage it with medications, but there's only so much that they can do. You know, and a lot of these medications alone also have side effects which aren't very helpful. I mean, like, the antidepressants that I take can cause suicidal thoughts, which is the very opposite of the thing that they're supposed to be doing. My antidepressants, they cause insomnia, which doesn't help with depression. You know, if you don't sleep for a long period of time, you go completely off the rails. You know, it drives you completely bonkers because you haven't slept. You get depressed. You start hallucinating if you haven't slept for a long time. You know, and I mean, there have been times I haven't slept so long, it felt like I've been on a 3-day drinking bender. You know, you feel drunk because you haven't slept for a long time. It's a horrible feeling. You know, so I see what they're doing with this song, and I like it. I like the message they're bringing across. You know, I like the fact that they're talking about mental health, which is, as I've mentioned, a subject that's very, very close to me. And again, this is a subject that has been broached by many, many bands that I've covered on this channel in the past. Now, as I briefly mentioned before, obviously they are a sort of metalcore, deathcore, hardcore band. I'm not entirely sure exactly which one they'd slot into because I'm not very into all the core style music. It's not a style of music I listen to frequently, but, you know, I don't mind it. And, you know, it was pretty good. It was well executed. And, you know, the video was actually very, very nice. It was a very pretty looking video. You know, all these sorts of pieces that look like old artwork, old oil paintings and stuff like that, they were brilliant. It looked very, very good. And I liked the way the video was done. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad. But, you know, I can't really think of much else to say on that, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would, of course, be a massive help to me, since, you know, every piece of content I upload to this channel gets immediately demonetized, which is it's a little bit annoying, but, you know, that's just the way it is. You know, I'm using other people's material to create these videos, so, you know, it's only fair that the artists get the credit they are due for me using their material. But, you know, the fact that they get all of it, not too fond of that idea, you know, because, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into these, but that's the way it goes. Now, there is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There is a limit on how frequently you can do that, however, and that's just to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram comments. And if you do suggest a track through those more regular means, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get to it. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes, and one of the main facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture, and that's something that I believe in very, very strongly, and it's something that sort of gets brushed aside and ignored because no one cares, and it's something that really needs to change because it's a very, very real problem, and because people don't pay any attention to it, they don't realise how bad it really is. Because every day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear about these every single day. You know, in the news we hear about everything from the most heinous and violent of these crimes, where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin, or because of their religious beliefs, or because of their sexual identity, down to the most petty of these things, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear every facet of these every single day in every media outlet you can possibly think of. But when it comes to somebody from the alternative culture getting violently and brutally attacked, we don't hear a word. No one says anything. And that needs to change, because it is a very big and very real problem. You know, every day, all around the world, hundreds, if not thousands of people from the alternative community are getting attacked just because of their taste in music and clothing. And we're not just talking about insults being, you know, shouted across the street or getting shoulder rammed as you walk down the road. No, we're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting hospitalised with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries. And the last time there was any widespread conversation about this sort of thing was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them, kicked them, punched them, knocked them to the ground, and stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, thankfully, Rob Maltby, he survived this attack. He was in a coma for about a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer. I can't remember exactly how long. But he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death because a group of people couldn't handle the fact that she liked different music and different clothing to them. Now, this sort of thing has been going on for years. It's been going on for decades. But we never hear anything about this. And when this was in the news, as it rightfully should have been, you know, this was the talk of everything. You know, this was all over the newspapers. It was all over the news on TV. It was everywhere, as it should have been, you know. But as all things do with the news, you know, other news stories came in and this one sort of faded to the background, as normally happens. But in the 14 years since this incident, we've not heard anything similar. But I know there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of similar cases. Only a few years ago, there was a young woman in Glasgow, Scotland. You know, I could walk to Scotland from where I live. A few years ago, this young woman was running a gig, and at some point during the evening, she had to go back to her home, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue where she was hosting. In the time between leaving the venue and getting to her home, she was attacked twice by a group of 5 or 6 people. Again, another group of people against one lone person. And similarly, they beat her, punched her, kicked her, knocked her to the ground and beat her more, just because of the clothes that she was wearing and the style of music that she listens to. And, you know, this happened to her twice within the space of 5 minutes. Now, thankfully, there was a passing taxi driver who put an end to the attack, and the group of cowards, they ran off, as, you know, they generally do. He didn't check to see if she was okay. She didn't get any help until she got back to the venue where she was hosting the gig, to where her friends were. Now, if that taxi driver hadn't passed when he did, who's to say she wouldn't have ended up in a coma just like Sophie Lancaster? Who's to say she wouldn't have ended up dead just like Sophie Lancaster if he hadn't intervened? But this wasn't in the news. Not a word was said. No newspapers, no TV, nothing. I didn't hear about this until a friend told me about this. And the only way he knew about it was the fact that he was friends with the person who got attacked. This wasn't in the news. Why not? This was a violent and brutal assault. If this had been someone from the LGBTQ community that had been assaulted in that way, it would have been in the news. If this had been someone of colour, they would have been all over the news. If this had been anybody else, this would have been all over the news. But because it was someone from the alternative community, nothing was said. And that is unacceptable. Just because we are from a different musical community doesn't mean we don't deserve justice. Doesn't mean we deserve to go unnoticed when something like this happens. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want more people to realise what a big problem this is. They want more people to recognise that this really is a very big problem and something needs to be done. Because if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens to someone else. And we cannot allow that to happen. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one, from their web store. They've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff over there as well. But, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.